My name is Filiz Sönmez,
My name is Philip Rickman.
and today is September 1, 2022. Yeah, we are here because we would like to talk about Harry Merritt's architecture and his design philosophy. And first, before we start, can you tell about a little bit your background? Where did you born?
Oh,
How
my
did you-
background, yes. Well, I was born in Clewiston, Florida, and I grew up in Stuart, Florida. So I'm a native here. And a little bit of background, architectural background for me is my dad was a residential designer. So when I was in the 6th grade, 12 years old, I began working in his office. And it's just a part of what I do is just architecture. It's been my life. And one of the things that happened to me when I came up to the University of Florida was because we dealt with residential architecture and it was design build. I knew nothing about commercial architecture and public architecture. So it was a strange thing to come into that. So that was my background. And as a result of that, I don't think I was the best designer in school at that time. But yes. So that's basically it. Married Linda, met her at the University of Florida. And we married after I got almost out of the Army. And we've been working together since then. We opened our office in 1970. Linda has a degree in interior design from the University of Florida. And has come back here. The reason we're in Gainesville is we came back here so she could get her master's in architecture, which she did. And we decided to stay.
Nice. And can you tell your full name and also a little bit your background? Would you like to attend or?
My name is Linda Rickman, and I was born in Illinois,
Nice.
but I came to Florida with my parents, and Paul and I met in the University of Florida. And I started university in art and then changed to interior design.
Cool.
Took many, at that time it was in the Department of Architecture, so I took a lot of the architectural courses, and one of the courses I took was construction drawings. And so when I got out of school, I started working for architects rather than interior designers. And then later decided I would like to go ahead and get my education in architecture, so I came back and got my master's in architecture. I graduated in '91.
Also, did you teach some design classes at UF?
Not at UF. I taught interior design at the Art Institute in Fort Lauderdale.
Cool. Very nice. And did you have a chance to teach at UF or any school?
I've taught at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and then I adjunct faculty at Santa Fe in architectural drafting, basically.
Great. And then how did you start to UF School of Architecture? And which year did you meet with Harry Merritt?
Okay. I started at the University of Florida in 1957, the summer semester of 1957. And at that time they had what they called the C courses, which were remedial high school courses, which everybody had to take to get them ready to go to college, which we should have been doing anyway. But anyway, so we were in the C courses and we had a couple of architecture courses. But then they had a thing called upper division, which after you finished all of the C courses and got your associative art degree, then you moved into upper division architecture. And that was probably in 1958 that I did that. And Harry came to University of Florida in 1960.
60.
And I remember distinctly, before that, the school was mostly a Beaux-Arts school. I don't know if you knew that or not, but a lot of the professors were leaning towards the Beaux-Arts type of architecture. So Harry came in his white starched shirts and very narrow black tie. And we said, who is this? But he was really a great person to talk to. Like I say, I was not, the best designer in school at the time. And it was hard for me to get into that type of design.
Yeah.
But he worked through that with me. And we became real good friends. And in fact, I talked to him just about 6 months before he died on the phone. And so, and strangely, I had the pleasure of teaching his son drafting at Santa Fe. And his son, I think, is still in the Gainesville area. So, you know, but yeah, it's just that type of thing. So we moved from there, and then another professor came, and being an organic person too, you would enjoy this. Dean Bryant Wollendorf. I don't know if you've heard of him or not.
I think I read his name.
Yeah, he's very, very great, a lot of fun organic architect. And he moved me away from that mid-century modern movement into more of the organic movement. So I kind of have a combination now of both fields, and you can see from that they're there. So, but you asked me if I had any of my projects that we did it. It's an unfortunate experience, but the day that I graduated from high school, from college, all of my belongings were burned in a fire.
Oh,
So no, I don't have any. So you know, I have memories, but none of that. You can't put memory down. Yeah. So that's where that is. But when I came back to Gainesville, and we were involved in the AIA, we met this man who was doing mid-century modern Gainesville. And we got talking about that. And, you know, I knew Harry and knew where his house was out on Lakeshore Drive and some of the houses around Gainesville. And so we got to be friends there. I don't know what else I can tell you.
And I also remember everyone says, Rick also told us, Harry like a very strict teacher, and students think Harry Merritt, they thought, like, that's correct?
Well, when he first came, he was very strict.
Yeah.
And, you know, I served on a jury with Rick Rados for one of Harry's design classes just recently. And it seemed like he was a lot looser at that time. You know? And it showed in the way he dressed, too, because he started dressing like a Floridian rather than somebody from New York. So, but he was strict, but he was good. I think one of the problems that I had is understanding what he was saying about design.
Okay.
And trying to get that out of him and trying to figure out what
he asked.
what it was all about, basically. But he was very patient with me and worked through that with me. And, so, yeah.
Yeah. And then did you work in his office as well?
No, I did not. No, I did not. Because of the office that my dad had, whenever I had free time, it was down in that office. And so, no, I did not work with him. But, I know Rick did, and I know Bob Troy did, and I know some other people
Bob,
did.
he's alive right now, Bob?
Bob Troy, yes.
Do you have his contact?
No, I don't. I know that he's living somewhere in the Ocala area, but I don't really know where. Rick knows more about it than I do.
Okay, I can.
But Rick and I have stayed good friends since college. But,
Did you visit Harry Merritt's houses in Gainesville? He has 5 houses, I think.
oh yeah,
Residential.
I think he has a few more than that. He's got 2 out on Lakeshore Drive. I know his own house on Lakeshore Drive, and then about a mile to the south of that, a little less than a mile maybe, there's another house that he did on Lakeshore Drive. And then he's got, well, you visited one. Did you get to?
Yeah, I visited 5 houses.
Yeah, were you? Okay. So you've seen a lot of them. And, somewhere I have seen a sketch. It's not a house, but I've seen a sketch that Harry Merritt did for the area in front of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, between Ben Hill Griffin Stadium and University, which is a great sketch. I'm sorry it never got built, but it's, if I remember that's where it was. I know it's somewhere either there or over by the basketball. Beautiful sketch. But, so I know you're interested in houses, but I put that in.
And what is the main design philosophy of Harry Merritt? What is the differences Paul Rudolph architecture and Harry Merritt's architecture?
I don't think there really is that much difference in the early Paul Rudolph and Harry Merritt. The later work of Paul Rudolph was all in Singapore. huge buildings, and they put it together. But they call it brutalist architecture. I just don't agree with that terminology because it's a beautiful architecture. But I don't see that much difference between the design approach because they're both interested in the space within
Yes,
and how a
space.
person reacts to the space within, which is the same as right, but so it's kind of a different type of thing.
I'm almost searching 1960s houses. And during the 60s, he used redwood and big glass windows, flat roof, and of course open space a lot. Sometimes I feel like because of the color, maybe Japanese house. I just feel because he has like sliding doors, windows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cassisi house
yeah.
like this.
But you look at the early Paul Rudolph houses, and they were very much the same way. Big open spaces, lots of glass. Yeah. And that was Florida at that time. Energy was not, a big issue. It should have been, but it wasn't. And we had the light, and we just wanted the air to flow through.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did that. There's another architect too, Bill Morgan. I don't know if you know him or not, from Jacksonville, who did very much the same type of house.
Jacksonville. And during the 60s, big window, it means the sun, very powerful, it means inside. How they figure out to cool the house,
Well, here in Florida, we got the southeast breezes, and we know that the sun is going to move. And so the overhangs on one side protected us in the summers. That's why the big overhangs. And it's hard to get those now because of wind loads, because you've got lift. So yeah, and because the air conditioning wasn't in the 60s, wasn't that extensive. We had it, but in fact, our architecture building was not air conditioned at all at that time. So it was that type of thing, and it designed for the environment.
And how Harry Merritt choose the clients or which kind of client to find the Harry Merritt? Doctors or very rich people or middle class people? How they connect?
I can't answer that directly, but I can tell you that almost any architect, us as well, will pick a client that we know we can work with, and we know he'll understand what we do. And I think, particularly once Harry got one or two buildings up, people said, I like that, and they would come to him. But it's also a matter of taking a person who might come in and say, I want a colonial house, which is our first residential house. The guy said, they'd just gone to Williamsburg, we want a colonial house. Well, they didn't want a colonial house at all. We worked through them with that and built them a very contemporary mid-century modern house in Fort Lauderdale. And so you deal with what your client knows and what you know, and you try and understand. I think Harry did the same thing. I think that's one of the things I actually learned from Harry. It's just working through, as he worked with me to understand who I was and where I was headed, and then directed me in the right way. I think that's teaching design as well as teaching our clients to appreciate design. Does that make any sense? Yeah.
And how was the relationship between Harry Merritt to other professor?
I don't know.
You don't see anything?
I don't know. I think that the college at that time was very, very good together because they bounced off of each other. We had, Bollendorf, who was organic, and Merritt, who was mid-century modern, and then some of the Beaux-Arts were still around at that time. And just to be able to do that, one of the projects I remember that Harry Merritt gave us was he said there's a vacant spot where a building was in the Piazza Navona in Italy.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah. And he said, your job is to design a building to put in that spot. And of course, the reason I remember Rick Rados took that whole elevation of that whole block and put a building in there that you would never know was missing. It was just designed that way. So, you could do that type of thing. You could mix and move. So, but that was a fun project. That's one I remember. And the other was a motel on Bivens Arm, where there is a motel now.
And which design topic did you take from the Harry Merritt's? A residential house or a hotel or?
Oh, it was just the whole philosophy of design. It would go into houses or into commercial buildings and into churches. We did some churches, and it goes into all of that. Residential design is fun.
Yes, I agree.
And it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. But the other projects too, the same design philosophy, you carry that through. And it's just you deal more with the public actually in a commercial project.
Yeah, and he likes the drawings, handwriting, hand drawings.
Oh, yeah.
How was it?
Yeah, his drawings. Well, I took it from him, and Paul Rudolph. But I can't do that anymore because you don't have eyesight. But it's a fun project. You get into it, and you actually see that building before you begin drawing. Yeah. And that the other thing that I think he and Volodor both taught is you visualize what you want that building to be before you even draw it. And you do that, and you walk through that building in your mind. You know what you're doing.
He has a perspective book, right? Perspective.
I don't have his perspective book. No.
He
did one. I know. Yeah. But, I do not have that. It's just give all those the old-fashioned way, vanishing points.
I heard he's starting with the first, not plan. He started with the perspective to design because he wanna see 3-dimension space
That
first.
that wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, to do that. But,
he has a lot of paintings. He likes paintings. Also Rick Rados. I saw his paintings a lot. Do you paint as well?
no.
Yeah.
No.
I think you are. Do you like painting? Oil painting?
I did watercolor.
Really?
Pencil.
Linda's a watercolor person. I'm a pen and ink guy.
You are a pen guy. Very nice. What about site analysis during his design? Because Cassisi house different from the Merritt's house, the other Merritt's house. Cassisi house like this, he designed here, and then there's a water coming, flooding problems here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a problem, and then the homeowner always complain. It's just-
Well, so did the people who built Villa Savoy. They complained, and the people who, the Farnsworth house, she complained. I think anytime you get into a new form of architecture, like Harry Merritt's or Corbu or Mies van der Rohe, where you're stretching the bubble, you always have the chance of getting something wrong. Frank Lloyd Wright, getting something wrong, or not, the builder not understanding how to build it the way you want it to. And so you get those problems, I think, without wanting them, but you get a problem. I think in this case, you start analyzing what the water's going to do, and you deal with that. And if you forget that, then you're going to get water in your building. But you don't. And that's part of site analysis. One of the things that we didn't do a lot of in architectural training was site analysis. I don't know if
So
you got that
important.
or not, but at that time we did. Maybe they do now, but at that time, we were rarely given a site. We just, they were given a building to design, and this is a square little site that you put it on.
He likes also details.
Oh, it's important. important
Really?
to detail. One of the things that we do, and people that we worked with started us in the process is on a floor plan, particularly in our residence, is you go around that floor plan and you detail every door and every opening and everything like that, so you know how that's going to go together. And it helps the contractor too to know how you saw it going together, because basically, the contractor wants to go buy a pre-hung door and hang it up, as you can see in this house. But to design it so that it's part of the whole language of the building, then you do that. And Harry did that. Harry taught that. And,
Okay. For example, as an architect, you can design a house in Chicago or you can design a house in Florida. There is a climate differences, people differences, culture, kind of the American, but different. Everything is the south and north different.
Yeah.
And then Harry Merritt is coming from the north, right? But he quickly start to learn Florida traditional life, Florida traditional weather, and topography.
He moved from his black tie to a Florida dress. Yeah. No, it's. I would not design a house in Chicago, first off. But when we moved from Fort Lauderdale to Gainesville, just that climate change changes the way you approach architecture. Because it's colder up here.
Yeah.
We don't have the breeze up here that we have down in South Florida.
Yeah.
And so you change things, and people up here don't have the taste of the that we have down there. So it's a whole different thing. And I think you have to be aware of that. And I think Harry was aware of that. And he worked for who's the guy that did the SAE house? Gene Leedy, before he came to the University of Florida. So he was in Florida working for a Florida architect, and a guy graduated from the University of Florida. So he probably picked up a lot of Florida stuff from Gene Leedy.
I understand.
And then when he came to the University of Florida, he was well aware of what Florida was like.
What is the big differences between local architects to famous architects? Some of them very famous, and then they have a big differences for design. I saw the umbrella house of Paul Ortiz on the. I didn't see it in person.
Oh, you need to go.
I would
but
like
while
to
you're
see
here in
it.
Florida, go to Sarasota. Please do. It's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
So
Both are modern, but differences, taste is different, design taste, of course, philosophy.
Yeah. So, what was the question? It was dealing with, a famous architect versus a non-famous architect. Or what we call boutique architects versus architects. It's hard to say. I worked for Don Singer in Fort Lauderdale. And Don is, in that area, a very famous architect. So, it's the reputation that they build as they go. And it just takes determination to do that. But what makes you famous? We don't submit things for awards. If you want to get famous, you submit things for awards, they get published, and there you are. But we have not done that. So just because of our personality, we don't do that. So that's the difference, I think, is the idea of, whether, and I don't think you set out to be famous. Okay? I think if you do that, you lose it. I don't think Harry Merritt set out to be famous in Gainesville. I think he did what he did, and the fame came with what he did. Yeah. It's like a football player being able to catch a ball well and do things with the ball well. That makes him famous. But there are a lot of people behind him that aren't famous that help him do that. So, Now I think that's true of architecture.
We are looking for something unique. you know. That's why for example, Umbrella House is so unique. I never seen. That's why he's famous for me. It's
Oh, really?
unique.
Yeah.
I mean, space is unique,
Yeah.
facade is unique, and very simple, pure, nice, modern style.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But I think too, you know, he's famous for that now. But when he did it, and when he was working in Sarasota, I don't think a lot of people knew him. I don't think he was well recognized. But since, you know, Yale and things like that, he's become famous, and people started looking at his early works. And they're delightful little buildings. You know. Very simple, straightforward, just
Yes.
minimum amount of structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but very Florida-ish. Yeah.
And also, I compare the Harry Merritt's works between the years. For example, 60s different from 70s, 80s totally different. He used the glass a lot 60s, but he started to use less glass in 80s.
Energy.
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 Because of the. Okay.
Yeah, it's and
Makes
you have
sense.
to change. You have to be able to move with that, because as energy costs go up, you know, you have to be able to say, okay, you know, are we going to request that the owner pay that much for energy? And I think it's just an awareness of the environment. You have to be careful of that.
Yeah, you are right. And he started to use more 80s, more dark space. Not, yeah, I mean block face.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
say that facade? Have you called
Concrete block?
solid facade? Solid facade. He used a lot.
Yeah.
But,
You're talking about one of his places over in Cedar Key, obviously.
Cedar Key.
Yeah. It's more of a, you don't want to say Florida vernacular, but it's kind of just a different approach. Yeah.
Okay, and also about I would like to talk about material. Ocola block is so famous in here, right? And we cannot see in north.
No.
We can see only Florida, right?
Ocala block is a sand that only is in Ocala
Yeah.
that they make the block from. And when they make the block from them, the block do not absorb as much moisture as before. Yeah. It's concrete block. So that's why that block is there, and that's why they use it in exposed structures a lot. It's non-absorbent. Yeah, it's still it still had promising leaks at all of the joints. They still have to do that. But we've built concrete block buildings and just use admixtures in the making of the concrete block as well as the mortar to prevent moisture intrusion. And you can do that. And the other thing that a very wise man told me once is the best waterproofing for a building is an overhang. Keep the water off the building, which is not always the nicest looking thing. So you learn how to work with overhangs.
What kind of materials he used? Ocola block, glass, wood.
Do I use?
You and also Merritt.
Merritt, well, you see Merritt's work mostly a lot of stacked block, exposed concrete block or exposed Ocala block. There's a church down the street here that he did a little section of. It's all exposed concrete block. And stacking it and then protecting it and overhangs, then glass in between. So, yeah.
And he told in his classes he talked before European architects. He talked about the European architects group used in his classes as a lecture. He talked about European style or
European style? I don't recall that, no.
He sometimes gives us example. Did you see this Walter Gropius houses sometimes we do in our classes, these are the European style examples. We are talking with the students. We give them some magazines and journals for search them. Harry Merritt, did you bring his
Okay.
magazines?
Let me tell you how it worked back then. Okay. We had studios, okay? And they were not in studio an awful lot. So and they would come very quickly, look at what you do and leave. Sometimes they would say something, sometimes they wouldn't say something. If we were working all night, rarely did they come in at night. So, no, they didn't. They really depended upon us to do the research on the building types and know the history, look at Europe, look at wherever. So that's my recollection. And that might not be exactly the way it went, but it just seemed that professors would absent an awful lot. And until the very end. Then they started nailing it. But, yeah.
And also, which student, one of the more famous, not famous, more talented students in his classes? Harry Merritt, who likes it? Who likes?
By far, the most talented student in his class was Rick Rados.
Rick Rados.
By far. The closest runner-up would be Bob Troy.
Bob.
Yeah. Both of those men, Bob Troy could draw. He could draw a building and it'd be beautiful. Rick could design a building well. And he continued.
Continued.
He continued to do that. Yeah. Have you met him at all?
Other than on the phone? I met with Rick Rados in St. Petersburg. We went there together, and I never meet with Bob. I would like to meet with him too.
Yeah. But yeah, by far Rick was the better designer.
And how many students they work Harry Merritt's office?
In his Merritt's office, I have no idea. I know that during Lakeshore Towers, I think there were 3 or 4 of them working, and but don't know. Never got into Harry Merritt's office. Again, I had obligations outside. If we were free at all, I had obligations somewhere else.
Who was your famous professor in your when you were a student?
I know we're talking about Harry Merritt, but I have to tell you that Dean Bollendorf was probably my favorite professor. How
was he?
Yeah, he was a little bit freer than Harry, a little more of a free spirit, kind of a rebel like me, and just his organic designs were really nice. Yeah.
And during the 60s also, I think Frank Lloyd Wright, he has a Roshan Chapelle.
What?
No, Le Corbusier, he has a Roshan Chapelle in France. And during the 50s and 60s, when you were a student, how did you meet with the European architectural style?
We didn't.
You didn't? Never? Yeah. You didn't have any journals, books?
No.
Magazines?
No, these are all books that I've collected since then. Obviously, since I lost everything. But, yeah. No.
But have you heard it, Bauhaus School?
Oh, yes.
I'm sure.
Yeah. There's this one over here, that's our favorite school of architecture.
Me too.
Yeah. So, yes, Bauhaus is very nice.
And Harry Merritt talk about the Bauhaus a lot, maybe, or
no.
And also, I saw his design sketches in the library in UF, and they have he always using like grid.
Yeah.
Grid. Before he designed the plan, he used always grid.
On a grid, yeah.
You do as well?
Sometimes. Sometimes when we do a hexagonal, I did a hexagonal church that was all on a grid. Because it's easier for the contractor to build it if it's on a grid, because he can put the grid down in string.
For structure.
Yeah.
Easy.
But, Wright did everything on a grid. Well, not everything, but most of his work was on a grid.
How did you start your design? You design. How did you start?
Me?
Yeah.
If I was now going to start a design,
Yes.
I would think about it until I got a full picture of it after talking with a client. So sometimes, you're talking with a client in the first meeting, you get a feeling for what they are looking for. And you say, okay, we can do this. Sometimes it just takes more meetings, understanding what they're looking for and how you can do that.
Sometimes some famous architects, they insist what they want. They don't want to change their design. Falling Water Kaufman House in Frank Lloyd Wright in Pennsylvania. I read this story, Kaufman thinking different, but one night Frank Lloyd Wright, he just designed, and then the next day he just showed.
Right. He saw it in his head.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't think you go to a person like Harry Merritt, Frank Lloyd Wright, any of those architects, and say, I want you to design something that's completely out of what you're doing. I mean, and I don't know, I heard just recently where Kaufman never went to that house.
Yeah.
Because of the sound of the water. That's his problem. But, I love the sound of the water. That's it. I don't think you go, you wouldn't go to you can't go to Paul Rudolph anymore, but you wouldn't go to Paul Rudolph and say, I want a Williamsburg house. Now, one man did that. Okay, Paul Rudolph says, I can design you a colonial house. And he did, but it was Paul Rudolph's version of a colonial house. And it's the one that was in Mississippi that's never been built. But but you just don't do that.
For residential house, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
People has to live over there. They want to agree. They are right. And what else I should ask? Do you have any memory story with the Harry Merritt? Any special
No,
story?
I really don't. Just from, basically recently, just talking with him, he was still that bright, voice. And, I said, Harry Merritt, this is Phil Rickman. You probably don't remember. He said, of course I do. I've always enjoyed thinking of you, So, so it's that type of thing. And whether he remembered me or not, I don't know. But, he said he did, so I believe he did.
Do you have a big differences, your design to Harry Merritt's design? What's your design style?
Well, you see it up there.
Grow House, a restaurant.
It's a restaurant, and it was in the middle of an orange grove in Fort Lauderdale. And just to design so that people could enjoy the orange grove and not be all in one big area. It had a big dining room and then some places where other people could sit that was smaller and that type of thing. And then that house is just one that was designed for a couple who, again, it was in an orange grove. And
La Casa Focha. And I saw in your design, you like the roof, A-shaped roof, like this. You like
when it
roof?
works, when it works.
But not a flat roof.
I've done those. I've done those.
You have flat roof too.
Sometimes when it works, depends upon the site, the budget, what we're doing, how we're trying to create the spaces. And, we did a house where a client bought a piece of property and it had a slab on it. He said, we want to build a house on this slab, but we had to extend the slab a little bit. But sections of it were flat roof and sections of it were heavy timber slip roofs.
And during the 60s, what was the main traditional houses? People usually, what kind of house they live during the 60s? Because I saw Harry Merritt's design totally different, like foreign. Somebody come to a little town and then something creative but totally different. Everyone look at, oh, what is the weird building? And they think maybe 60s during the, but...
It just, again, it goes back to architect-client relationship. And I think Harry understood that. This client doesn't want all of that glass, all of those big spaces. So he designed the buildings for that. They would not have been the common buildings all around, as you can see. But he had that ability. I think any good architect, like Harry Merritt, Don Singer, would be able to do that. Say, okay, this client's not going to want, a huge open space. Some people just don't like big open spaces.
Yes.
And you say, okay, we'll design a little open space.
And during the 60s, people usually lives Victorian style, 19th century houses? Or?
I don't think Victorian, but yeah, it's what you see today. It's the common houses today. It's what you see down the street. This was in the 70s.
These are 70s houses?
Yeah, these are all 70s houses. Basically all the same floor plan with a different elevation. And,
Did you design this house yourself? This is your design?
No, when we moved up, we had no plans of staying here. So we bought this house while Linda was in school. And I was working for another architect, so we wouldn't have the burdens of an office. And during that time, I got to work with the school boards. And I was working on that. And when Linda graduated, we opened an office and did schools. We did some public schools up here. And went from there. So,
you don't have any houses you designed?
not in Gainesville.
Nothing where?
Not in Gainesville. Most of them are in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
They're all in Fort Lauderdale, as a matter of fact.
In your family, do you have another architects, your kids or your relatives?
No, I don't. No. My sister was in architecture with us, but she really wanted to be a vet. So she didn't go very far. And so just Linda and I.
And do you have kids?
No.
They don't?
No.
No. Okay. No. Great. Very nice. Is it possible, can you tell me your this house's design, philosophy, or we can watch?
Oh, okay.
Or we can visit your house. Do you mind?
No, it's not. That's not our house. The bottom one. Yeah, the bottom one is our house. We bought a piece of property on out west of Fort Lauderdale, and we thought, well, we'll build a house. What we wanted to do was get everything from a reuse standpoint. So all the telephone poles were reused, and all the windows and doors were things that were taken out of other houses and reused. So basically, it's the first greenhouse that we designed. We found out later that we were not country people. So we stayed in Fort Lauderdale, downtown. But that was that house there. And it was the idea of just doing something that was spatially different. And the spiral house, and the office was off on one side, and it went on up, and it spiraled up to bedroom areas up on the top. And then at the very top was a little chapel. So other than that. But the other one is just for a couple And it was a small lot, and we didn't want to occupy the whole lot because it was in the middle of an orange grove. So we made a little compact house, about 30 by 30 square, and then put the bedroom up in the second level, over half of it.
Great. And like Harry Merritt during the 60s, of course, he was here. But like him, what is the other local architects? Who they are?
Well, we had Dan Branch here, who was a professor too, and he and Harry designed an awful lot alike. Some of Dan's houses are down on the southwest section of Gainesville that are mostly stacked, two-story stacked Ocala block houses. And let's see what else was going on here. Trying to remember. I left in '63, so you're talking about a time that just in there.
And also most architects, they work together, engineers. We have a good relationship with engineers. He has a close friend. He always with him. He works with him.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because, we are like a team.
It better be
engineering,
a team.
mechanical engineer.
It better be a team, yes.
You have like team.
If it's not, you're in trouble.
Yes. Yeah, I do.
In Fort Lauderdale, we had structural engineers, mechanical engineers, and electrical that understood our work.
Yes.
And understood they were going to be a little bit different from just laying out the way you normally do. So.
And this is your house, and then this is your office too, right?
Yeah, the office is behind you.
Nice. And then, what's your work time after finishing your school? And then did you open you attend your father's father
We had,
office?
at that time, we had, or still do, have 2 years of apprenticeship after we graduate that we have to work. So I went down to Fort Lauderdale after school, began working for an architect. I think I worked about a month for him. And then I had the pleasure of working for Uncle Sam in the Army for a little while, 2 years, where I trained people how to shoot and live and make beds. But anyway, I was drill sergeant. So, but we did that. And then after that, came back to Fort Lauderdale and worked with architects until we got registered. And then opened our office. And
then do you still having some works? Do you work today?
We work.
You never retired?
Well, no, it's too much fun to retire. And, it's an enjoyable. I don't know what I'd do if I retired.
Yeah, I agree.
But and we have an office. We have a client from San Diego that we work with, who buys apartment complexes in Florida, and we work with him on those. And we have a couple of contractors right now one contractor that we work with in the house areas. We're trying to move him into better designed houses, and and it's an education process for him.
Young architects, they use 3D computer drawings a lot, AutoCAD and Max programs.
Yeah, we use DataCAD as our platform, and we started that when we started schoolwork, actually. And but the 3D. Personally, I don't like 3D computer drawings.
So mechanical.
They're very mechanical looking.
But you still do like this facade, or it's too much, your
Only occasionally.
Your eyes.
I will do sketches, but only occasionally.
But you use hand sketch again a lot, I'm sure, as a designer.
Yeah, we all do.
Can I see your some sketch?
No.
No, I'm not stealing.
I don't know where I'd find one right now, actually. We have a whole bunch of paper, but I'd have to move the office to get it. Which I would have done if it said you wanted to see some sketches. But, the work we're doing right now is not the type of work where you would sit down and really be that creative in sketching.
Okay, sketch something. I will like to see your handwriting. Architects likes
My writing?
writing and sketch.
Oh,
Little house.
let me send you something. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you something.
I am curious.
Yeah.
So nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't think I've been much help, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be here?
This is the third time I came to United States. I was here 2010. I lived 1 year as I was a visiting scholar, School of Architecture, and I came here again 2016, and then I came to Oral History Department. This year they invite me again.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been living 2 months. I have a 1 month more. I will leave end of this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sad too.
Yeah. I'll try to get down to Sarasota before. Do you work on the weekends?
10 years ago, I went to Sarasota one time.
One time?
Yeah, but daily trip. We went there. We didn't stay. Just 5 hours. We stayed. I saw Guy Peterson. He had a tour 10 years ago. I attended the tour.
Good.
He showed his design houses. I liked his houses too. He's a big, nice house. Yeah.
You got to get his book, Naked Architecture.
I didn't see his book.
He calls it that because what he does is he strips his architecture of anything that is unnecessary, and so he calls it Naked Architecture. I thought when I got the book, I thought, oh right, what's this about? And but it's a good little book.
Here?
Yeah, Naked Architecture. There it is.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, Guy Peterson. Yes, I met with him. So, he signed it.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'd like to see more.
Yeah.
Our Clean Edge Metropolitan Show. I think in the UF Library School of Architecture they have. Yeah, I visit some houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so nice. He used very modern material.
Very.
Yeah. It's a block again. It's architectural. It's fun, right? Because creativity is different.
Oh yeah.
You just design, but nobody can design.
It is fun.
It's fun, different.
Very rewarding.
Yes.
Not always financially, but it's very rewarding.
And
emotionally to see your building.
Very nice. And when I was a student, I can't sleep. In my dream, always I was drawing my design.
Oh.
You do a lot.
Oh yeah.
My mother, she's always looking to me. I just design in my dreams. So funny.
There's a whole bunch of architecture up there.
Yes. But sometimes to start the design is kind of painful too. I mean, it's a fun, but you have to think client, you have to think budget, you have like a financial person, you have to know engineering, mechanical, electrical. You have to very well structure. Structure is important. You are like a composer. Everything you have to know. That's why architects is different from the others. That's so cool. I will.
Yeah, we have to build things that can be built. Yeah.
I will look at the library. Thank you. So, would you like to add something? Do you have any memory or story with the Harry Merritt?
I did not know him.
You didn't take any classes. Great. And What else I have to ask? I think most of them I ask. And also, is it possible to walk with you to your house? And
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I
every part.
think it's presentable, isn't it?
Okay. Thank you.
Come on by.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to record?
Yeah, I can carry.
To let you know, when we moved in, this was a little room. This was a bedroom. We took that wall out. We took this wall out. So,
Nice.
and had these built for us. And then we'll come back here. I'll show you the office, which is quite a mess right now.
Office.
Which offices are?
Oh, very nice. I also visited Guy Peterson's office in
Really?
Sarasota.
Okay.
He has a big office.
I didn't know he was still practicing. Last time we were down there,
No, 10 years ago. Not now.
Yeah.
So good. And you drove?
That's my,
Yours?
And that's mine.
You read a lot, yeah. You enjoy, this is Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah. I bought something, Chicago, some souvenirs like that. Beautiful. Oh. Very nice.
And this is the addition we put on. Well, not this part of it. This was another bedroom, but became a dressing room.
But you changed the house, right? As an interior design, you made
yes,
it.
this was just from here to the wall was a bedroom.
And then you added.
This is Phil's tie
Oh, right.
closet. He collects Frank Lloyd Wright ties. But,
And then
this.
We
And
grabbed some of the setback area for a bathroom.
and then we added this.
Oh, so good. Oh, nice.
And
It is fun to take a shower here.
I love it. And
Yeah.
then this, the view here is really delightful because
Right.
sitting on the water closet, you have
Yeah,
a
beautiful
nice view. Yeah, you only see the tops of
trees.
trees.
Awesome. This is also unique. That's so cool. This is original, I think.
It's a big granite.
Yeah. This is
That
also
was marble.
marble.
Yeah.
Yeah. And only things this color should be. This color should be here.
Yeah. Then we found that little vase in
See.
one of the museums.
That was in Atlanta, yeah.
Did you see, Deborah? It's very beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then
Beautiful bathroom.
light coming here.
So it's so funny on the final inspection by the building department before we got our CO, we hadn't put the fence up yet. And he said, "Is that a sliding glass door?" And I said, "Yes."
And the shower.
So cool. And do you have some space for a towel? For towel over there. Okay.
This is lovely.
Lovely, yeah. And if there's a lots of, I saw Frank Lloyd Wright's bedrooms like that. I mean, he is also toilet like full of windows. So cool area. We can see the other place. Please.
And then this is the bedroom that we added, which is still a work in progress.
Oh. For guest bedroom or your bedroom?
This is ours. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, and also it looks to the backyard.
Right. The hummingbirds and everything.
That's so nice.
Now, Linda is just recovering from shoulder replacement, so it kind of has a little gym look to it. But,
Oh, do you play guitar, both of you?
Philip plays flamenco guitar.
I'm so cool. I love it. One day you can invite me, please. I would like to listen. You have a little concert? No.
No. I'm shy.
You are shy? No.
I just play for myself.
I'm sure you are real talented. Architects like oil paintings,
Uh-huh.
arts.
Yeah.
You know, I like to.
Well, these are things. We did a studio for this artist, and
Who is the artist?
that one, Matthew Carone down in Fort Lauderdale. We did a studio and some additions to his gallery, and so we bartered for paintings.
Beautiful paintings. You have also watercolor paintings
I don't have any
in here. No. It looks in this side it looks bigger, but very convenient, very functional. You know, living room, kitchen, and bedroom, and workplace.
Yeah,
It's your studio,
opened it up.
and oh, beautiful.
We put the wall up. There wasn't the walls between the kitchen.
And kitchen is very small, but convenient. And yeah, you have a nice backyard. Do you use a lot backyard?
Particularly during the fall and the winter. Yeah,
And what is the
That's a
Laundry.
room.
laundry room?
you don't want to go in there.
Okay.
Garage is on the other side.
And is it possible, Deborah, three of us, she can take our picture, and then I can send you email.
Okay. Probably just throw it. I'm not.
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
This way with the art.
Yeah.
Oh, you have piano too. Beautiful. With the art, light is good.
Here?
Please.
Yeah.
We gotta do one more. That's very good.
With my phone, please. Okay. Oh, this is the art. Okay.
It's rosewood. It's one of my favorite sculptures.
Thank you so much. Oh, these are lovely. These are old, I think, but nice. Yeah, this is good too. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is,
Appreciate it.